Okay, so it's 3 o'clock and I'm going to start the stream now. And actually, let me double check that it's even going. Give me 1 second here. Cool, it's on my phone, so good enough for me. All right, so last I left off, I had like a few panels printed for this next case I have coming up. And today I have enough of the panels printed so that I can actually put a working chassis together, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. And yeah, let me just get started with that. So the first thing I do have to do is take apart this previous PC. So if you're new to the channel, well, welcome. And also, if you've never seen this before, this is the FreeBeam case, and it was a case designed for a small form factor build. So it was going to be for ITX, SFX power supply, but it did allow you to use a full-size, like 2-slot video card. And the neat thing is also it did use these MakerBeam extrusions that you see right over here. And what's nice about that is that it does add structural support, and it also then becomes opportunities for mounting. So if you haven't watched the video, you can check it out on my channel. But for instance, I did do some custom mounts here so that I could attach some like LEDs and whatnot. But for the most part, what you're seeing now is just a bare bones of it. But I do need to take this apart so that I can grab the hardware that's on here. And I did not mean to zoom, so let's zoom out, please. It's not zooming out. Okay, I need to watch my fingers. Okay, so let me see if I can actually just change that. Give me 1 second here. Right, cool. All right, so let's get started. Let's get started on this, and what I'll need is this Allen key from MakerBeam. Let me actually change the view for you all. Give me 1 second here. How do I do this again? Table. Great. Yeah, so this is the MakerBeam screw. And it comes with the kit if you buy the MakerBeam kit online, and it'll come with a bunch of hardware with it. Actually, somebody on Printables asked about this particular build, and they were wondering what actual hardware is needed to put it together. And I do have links on there. They're not so precise, and it's because I did buy like a kit to put everything together. And essentially I also have just like a lot of screws lying around. I know that they're all M3, but if I can give you an example of why sometimes it's a little harder for me to link everything and provide a complete BOM or bill of materials, because sometimes I use screws that I have acquired along the years, and it's really hard to like understand like what each one is. And so if you can imagine like this particular section here, oops, this little container part here, they're all 6x32, and these are the smaller ones for like solid state drives, and it's really just an assortment of hardware that I have. And so I do try to get the measurements down as accurate as I can so that people can build the machines. But for the most part, they're really just jumping boards, because sometimes I just use a bunch of screws that work. And another example is, let's see. Yeah, so like this little bag here, let me change my zoom again. Like, it's even got like springs inside there, but basically these are all M3, but they all come in different sizes. There's like spacers, but I mean, I honestly don't have like links to it because it is just stuff that I have on hand. And again, to the point too, it's like the cases are basically free, so I don't really provide that much support for them. I just share them with y'all in case you want to try building them. And so, yeah, I hope that the user understands that, and all the luck to them. But again, I think if you buy the MakerBeam kit, you should be pretty good to go. Anyway, so let's go and continue with this and get it disassembled so that we can get the hardware out of it. I'm going to screw this out here. And if my audio does sound funny, feel free to let me know. I'm sure there's like some sort of setting I can change to help it. But for now, we're just unscrewing these. A little off camera there. I thought I had enough hardware to create an entirely new case, but I just used too much in this particular case. Like basically when you're looking at it, like every little point you're seeing has hardware that I need, and so I'm gonna try to get those out so I can put them in the new case. And they do come out pretty easily. And again, what's really nice about this MakerBeam kit, it's very rigid, and it does allow you to create a case with more structure than it would be with just 3D printed parts. That is something that comes up quite often in my comments about how durable is it. And I mean, for the most part, my answer is that I believe it's durable enough for a PC case, because I think I went over this in my last stream, but you really shouldn't be subjecting your PC to a lot of forces. For the most part, if it's like strong enough to hold up stuff when it's standing still, that should be good enough, because I mean, I hope you're not using your PCs while it's moving, because that's just in my opinion, a recipe for disaster. So let me go ahead and remove these. And there are other designs for the MakerBeam kit. There's a very famous one by Jacob Designs. He uses the larger beams, but his designs they're cool. You know, like it's interesting. If you go to the MakerBeam website, like people have been posting their PCs for like years now. But it is just nice that the 3D printing community has grown so much since then, and it's good that there's people out there still designing for it. And let me go ahead and remove all these screws. What I really want is just really these little guide rails that are inside the beams, because they are going to be the mounting points I'll be using to put together the new case. And technically you could like 3D print one of these little rail mount things, but like it's not going to be very durable, because it's really it's quite small, so I don't suggest it. Now I know for the larger extrusions, like I think if you want to go crazy and use like 80/20, you can definitely like 3D print your own T-nut. I think that's what they're called, and that should allow you to basically use your 3D printer to create some of this hardware. I've never done it, but I know it can be done though. I also don't really suggest it, because I'm not a big fan of like screwing into plastic. But here's one beam empty, so that's good. Now I've got a few more beams to take apart here. And just give me 1 second. I think there's like a prompt I have to get rid of here. Alright, so cool. Alright, so now we're getting, again, a lot of unscrewing to do for this one. But I did ask you all in the last stream like how you felt about how many screws you have to fiddle with, and I think for the most part people are pretty accepting of it. And then I think I also mentioned that I watched that video for I think the Lee & Lee, I think it's the M2, but yeah, that thing had a lot of screws, and so it gave me more confidence to go crazy with the screws, because for a while I was really kind of mindful of how many screws I was requiring for some of my builds. Like for instance, behind me I've got this PC case here, and as you can see there's like screw mounts on almost every corner, and you know, I was kind of worried that people would be upset that there's so many screws to put in, but again, after seeing that video for the Lee & Lee, I'm gonna go crazy with screws, because if they can do it, I can do it. No, that's actually not the best attitude, but it does make me feel better that people are willing to pay like $100+ for a case that requires you to basically build a Lego set. And luckily my case is like, well, at least the design is free, the hardware is not, obviously, because you have to get that yourself. So I think it's a decent compromise. And more screws to unscrew, but we do have one rail empty now. And luckily I did have 8 of these rails so that I didn't have to hunt for more rails. If you've never used these MakerBeams, they're actually pretty nice. Like with the metal hardware they provide, the connections are really secure. So if you have any projects that require like structural integrity, like definitely look into MakerBeam. All right, so Joe G asks, what's a good beginner 3D printer for someone like me who has no idea what I'm doing? My budget is around $500. So I don't own any of the printers I'm going to suggest, but I will suggest them anyways. So Joe G, let me just change the camera really quick here. But Joe G, if you're going to get a printer, whatever you get, whatever budget you have, and the budgets can range, but basically get Bamboo Labs. It's a really popular brand, but the thing is, in terms of the user experience, I think they have it. They're probably doing the best job out of everyone in the market. I don't have one because they don't really make printers big enough. So, but they do have a printer. Because honestly, so the case I took apart right now, I designed it so that you could print it on their cheapest printer for Bamboo. So Bamboo Labs has a printer that has a 180 by 180 by 180 cubic print volume. And the case I took apart right now, you could build on that little tiny printer. And I have seen that printer go for as low as $150. And so in terms of costs, like it's to get a really good brand like Bamboo Labs, it's not prohibitive. So if you are going to get a new printer, Bamboo Labs. I mean, I obviously have never owned one, but I have friends and family who have bought 3D printers, and I think each one has been very happy with theirs. And I remember when I was consulting with them, I was very adamant that like you do not get anything else but a Bamboo Labs. So for a while, I was also suggesting Prusa, and I think from the software perspective, I think Prusa is probably more welcomed by users throughout. I think a lot of it is like open source, and so that's all good. The issue I have with Prusa is I would say that the build quality is better on the Bamboo. I actually had a buddy come over the other day, and he had to bring his Prusa because he had like a hot end that like basically leaked, and so we had to take it apart. And it's also like, I mean, it's 2025 now, and I think as a consumer, if I'm spending like over like $400 on something, like I'm a 3D printer, I love 3D printing, but I do not want to see 3D printed parts on items I buy. I'll just be very frank about that. Like I think it's off-putting to like spend all that money and to find out that it's just like this 3D printed part. So I wouldn't do it. I no longer really suggest Prusa because Bamboo Labs does exist, and they do provide a really good, I think, customer experience from what I read. I mean, they're obviously not perfect printers too. Like I was actually replying to someone on YouTube about a comment about clogged printers, and they were saying, "Oh, you're getting a clog because you don't have a Bamboo." But it's like, some of the best videos I saw online to help clear clogs was actually to clear the clogs of like Bamboo printers. So it happens to all of them, but the frequency is going to be a lot less with Bamboo because I would say that they have a higher level of like quality control over any other printer manufacturer out there. So let's see. Dokukan, sorry if I'm screwing up your name, I apologize. So Dokukan says, how I find the PC case. Oh, so Dokukan, so basically this is a work in progress right now. If you want, depending on what people say, I'll leave it to you. My plan was to release the files when I have actually fully completed it, because right now, if you follow my YouTube, I've been having like this saga of issues with my printer here, the Cheaty Tech, that I do not suggest buying anymore. But it's giving me issues, and one of the things is like I need to get some fitment done on what I have now before I can actually fully decide on what should be done with the new parts. So if I do release the files after this stream, it won't be complete, and it won't be like tested. So I mean, I'll leave it to the chat. Like if you all think that you don't mind having just like a working chassis without all the side panels, like I will gladly post what I have so far, and then update it when I had the side panels done. But for now, this particular case that's new is not uploaded yet. But if you are asking about the little case I just took apart, that's definitely on my printables site, and also if you look on my playlists or even my YouTube channel, you'll find the case there. It's one of the most popular ones. And where was I? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I hope that answers your question. And Joji says, "Thanks for the answer." Of course, of course. If you have any more, like, just feel free to throw whatever you have on your mind on the comments. I'll try to get to them, because I mean, for the most part, I'll just be screwing and unscrewing stuff anyway. So like, don't hesitate asking questions. Like, no matter how what level of like mundane or whatever they are to you, because I don't mind trying to answer them as best I can. I don't know if I'll have the answer all the time, but I will definitely try, but can't guarantee a right answer. And then, so PC Load Letter says, "I also don't have a Bamboo printer, but I suggest it to my friends. I don't want to be their tech support." Exactly. So PC Loader, like, I mean, to be honest, if I was like 18 or like in my 20s still, and people were like, "What printer should I get?" I would be like, "Get the Cheaty, get a Voron, make your own, like, you know, and if you have issues, I'll help you." And that was the same thing for like PCs too. Like when people want to build PCs, back then I'd be like, "Build your own, I'll help you build it. I'll even help you like maintain it." But now it's like, no, like if you see a sale on Best Buy and if it has the specs that are pretty good, just go for it, because I don't know, like I'm a lot older now and time is just so short, and I just don't have the energy to do tech support anymore. So totally agree with that, PC Loader. And Zeno Eno asks, "Where can we find the design?" Oh, so hopefully I already answered that. So the design for this tiny case is already online. If you go to my YouTube channel, you will find it. You'll find the video on my channel, and then you'll also find the link to all the files, and they're all free. Okay, so Mist and York, FDM printed parts, specifically, pretty much all other 3D printed parts feel like quality, SLS and so on. I think that's, I think I would argue that's not the case, but I mean, I think people have a different level of like tolerance to buying stuff. Like, I guess like the way I look at it, it's 2025. Manufacturing is like kind of, I think it's solved. Really, the only thing that really separates like great manufacturing versus crap manufacturing is just like how much money does the company have. Like, I think if you go to like any ODM in China and ask for like iPhone level like quality, you can get it. You just got the company itself just has to be able to afford it. But like there's no longer an excuse of like does someone have the ability to make something fantastic? It's really just coming down to cost. And so again, I think I don't know what I was talking about. Basically, yeah, 3D printed parts on products. I would disagree on that one, even if it's SLS. I can't think of I honestly can't even think of a product that I know of that has 3D printing in it. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't do. I mean, imagine you bought like a Samsung phone or something and it had like a 3D printed like charger base or something. I think I'd be like upset. And they just wouldn't do it too, because like, I mean, with 3D printing, it's like CNC in that you can't really like amortize the cost. Like with injection molding with plastic, you can just like buy $1 million mold, but if you're buying like, if you're selling like millions of them, like you'll make that money back. But with 3D printing, like the cost doesn't really get any lower the more you print. Like you're still like held back by time and materials. So I don't know. Anyways, so that's a huge tangent. Okay, I think I got all the hardware out except for that one, and we are ready to build the new micro ATX case. How did I want to start? Oh, I do want to start this because so to the point for the first question about what printer to get, again, so I designed this particular case so that you can print it on a 180 by 180 printer. Obviously, like with the size of this, I could have easily just, let me show you. Like the print bed for this particular printer is quite large compared to like the 180 by 180. It's pretty big. So I mean, I could have easily printed this in one go, but because I was designing this so that it would be more accessible for a lot of people, I did have to break it apart. And because I had to break it apart, I did have to find a means to join the parts together. And basically, I did want to, I was going to utilize some joinery that I saw online that are pretty cool. Like some of them have like interlocking tabs that go pretty well together, and because they're like straight edges, they actually like you can make them pretty flush. And I attempted to do that on like, which piece was it? I think it was this piece right here. So if you can imagine, it's only a small little run, and I tried to do that on it, and it took me way too long. And I said, screw that. I know this works because I've done it in my other PC case. So we went with the lobes, and the lobes, obviously they're not perfect, but I think they do their job. And so for these ones, you basically just line them up and then press them down. So let me change the camera really quick. And actually, maybe while I change the camera, I should grab my rubber mallet just in case. Give me 1 second. I knew I forgot something. No, you probably don't even need it. I did some flooring on this, so that's why like this hammer is like really messed up, but whatever. And yeah, you just press them down and they kind of just go together like that. And so there is the piece. And so now this is obviously not like a perfect interface fit. And so if you want, you could take your soldering iron to this and glue it and basically weld it. But I don't think it really needs it. I mean, I guess it could come apart still. But I think because a lot of the forces are going to be just straight down anyways, like I'm pretty confident that we don't need to do that. But I mean, maybe later on I'll show you how to like weld it with your soldering iron, but you could even just use super glue in these seams over here. All right, see, Mist and York says, 3D printed metal parts are used in space exploration and hypercars. SLS nylon can make shapes not even possible in injection mold or 5-way CNC mill. No, I totally agree with you. I mean, like, I've seen the videos of like the rocket chips and all, and like basically they're doing all their testing with like 3D printing and whatnot, but like I'm talking about like an actual like product that you can buy. And in my opinion, like when you buy a supercar, like it's like buying a yacht. Like I think you can expect like a lot of like custom work on those things, but for just a normal product, I don't know. I would still be kind of like taken aback if I saw like a 3D printed part. But I mean, to your point, I mean, maybe it's because it's the things that I buy. Like I don't have a rocket or I don't have a hypercar, so. But kudos to you if you do. That's awesome. All right, so we've got one panel put together, and then I already showed you this one, and so this one also just kind of snaps in, and that should be it. So this is the back panel, and let's see, and we do have the bottom panel here, but let me just make sure I have this orientation correct. Okay, cool. Cool. And so again, so if you're not feeling so comfortable about the interface fits for these, just like drop some super glue down here, or you can take your soldering iron. Hold on, I just have some like filament in my nails or something. Yeah, take your soldering iron and just kind of like slightly melt some of the seams. If you've ever watched any of my other videos, I have a video where I did like a replica for a steam machine, and for that one I did show how to like basically do some like spot welding on this. All right, but anyways, to your point, so Mist and York, like do you have any products that you like own and bought that have 3D printed parts in them, and you're like stoked on it? Well, she's gonna be like, I have like this hypercar. What is that one out of like California where it's like it looks like the Batmobile? Okay, so this one's actually like, so this is interesting. So this is why I've been having some issues. Excuse me. Get some water over here. But this particular part, I wanted to attach it to the MakerBeam rails without using magnets or screws. And so I was trying to make these like flanges, and basically like they're actually, these two are kind of different versions. You can even see based on the infill pattern. But I've been trying to find out what's like a good spacing to get them to snap in. And so these actually have two different I guess tolerances. And that's another reason why I don't have the files up yet, because it's still kind of a work in progress. And so today really I just wanted to show like the general volume and dimensions of the case when it's like kind of put together. So bear with me on that one, but it should be up soon. I just basically need to do a lot of calibration on my printer right now. I ended up changing I changed the hot end, and I also changed the nozzle. So before I had like a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, and now I am going to be trying to use a 0.6 millimeter nozzle. But by doing so, the stock profiles for the new nozzle sizes on my printer, they're just not working. So I have to do a lot of calibration on it. So like for instance, I did some more like test fits for the new setup, and it may be hard to see. It's probably going to be impossible to see, but in my previous tests, obviously like these go in pretty awesome, but this one does not. And I think what's happening is that I just don't have like the flow properly. I'm trying to take this apart. I don't think it's going to come apart, but I'm trying to get them dialed in. But the problem is I have like, first off, I have, might be hard to see, but I have like elephant foot happening on this particular print right now. And so I need to dial in either the bed temp or the actual, and I know there was an elephant foot setting on there, and I need to play around with that too. But while the camera's zoomed in, I'm gonna back away and blow my nose. in my last stream I was still sick, so I'm still kind of getting over that right now. All right. And so Mist in New York, you said, ha, no supercar. No supercar. I've made aluminum and brass products using CNC, and I had to design around the limitations. The only 3D printed SLS products I know of are gaming mice. Yeah, see, I mean, I think I think for me, like a 3D printed part would be more about like the novelty of it versus like, is it a fantastic product? And I think to your point, you are right. There are some things where it's like it is. You do want a 3D printed part. For instance, let's say you had like a very unique like cooling system where like you wanted to integrate the cooling channels within the actual body of a part. Then you can't really do that with a CNC because there's no way for you to get the end mills or whatever inside there. But that's like super niche and unique. And to the point of a mouse, I don't know. Maybe you can put a link to which one you're talking about, because I know I've seen some, but they just haven't been on my radar. Because I guess for me, for mice, like I'm more concerned about like the sensor technology and the actual guts of it versus like the what's it made out of. I don't know. And I'm also like not like a lightweight freak. I'm not like a pro gamer, so I mean that's just what it is. Okay, so we put the panels together. But if somebody in the chat wants me to like solder these, let me know and I'll show you how to do it. But I mean, it's pretty clean. I think it should be pretty stiff too, ish. I mean, not the stiffest, but it's plastic too. So what can you do? All right, so we've got those put together, and now we can start. Actually, no, I can't do that yet. What am I saying? Because I need to install a bunch of heat inserts in some of these parts. So let me go back into the table view. So now to put the parts together, like specifically, for instance, like these are some of the motherboard mounts. And so the motherboard, I don't like screwing into plastic. And so I'll be installing some heat inserts to make sure that I can like affix things and not have to worry about like only doing it once. Now you could argue that, I think someone mentioned that in one of my videos, it's like, why don't you just design things with, you know, screwable plastic when you know it's only be done once? And to their point, they're absolutely correct. But I'm gonna wait for my soldering iron to heat up. But I guess for me, because I'm constantly having to take these apart and then putting them back together, like the screw holes just don't survive. Like another example too is actually like the fans I'm installing today. I'm not going to be using normal screw fans, but when I do upload the model, I will make the holes big enough for a normal screw fan. But because I take apart these parts so many times, I've actually like rounded out like the fan holes, because you know it is just like a self-tapping screw into the plastic, and I've like literally destroyed the holes because I just keep taking these parts apart. And so today I'm actually going to be like temporary. I'm not gonna put the heat insert inside the fan, but I'm just going to be basically using it as a bolt as a nut, because I'm just kind of tired of like, I have a really cool like Noctua fan that's like barely used. I just use it for like photos, but it's like so mangled because of how many times I screwed it in. And I try to be good about like, you know, backing it out and then making sure that the threads fall into place, but you can only do that so many times until like the plastic itself just can't take anymore. All right, so I have my soldering iron set to 300 degrees Celsius. It's a normal little cheapo one. I think I have it linked in a lot of my videos, but at the end of this stream, I'll probably put the links up again. But again, I think I got this for like, I want to say like $17 or something. But yeah, I mean, there's really no excuse. I think if you're a hobbyist interested in stuff like this, I mean, I don't think these are anything are not. I wouldn't say anything is really an investment, because it's more of just like really nice to haves. Like, yeah, so soldering irons so that you can get heat inserts installed. And let me go ahead and grab my tweezers because I'm not going to try and handle the soldering iron, or sorry, the heat inserts with my fingers. And so what I'll do is I'll just like hold the heat insert with tweezers and then place it on the soldering iron. And right away it actually will start to like heat up that brass insert right away. And then I'm just gonna slide it in. So I'm trying to remember the orientation, but I think it's this way. Yes. Okay. So I think if you see my videos, I think I've done this like 100 times in my videos. Probably not that interesting anymore, but let me see if I can get a different angle for you heat insert lovers here. All right, let me see if I can zoom in really quick here. Probably have to go from this angle. But I mean, you're supposed to line it up and just make sure you're going in straight. And that's about it. And then now you have a screw hole that you can screw in and screw out a lot more times than you can with just screwing into plastic. And so yeah, I mean, I'd like to hear what people do think about that. Like, if you, like, when you are 3D printing, are you often just screwing right into the plastic, or do you kind of go my route and always use heat inserts? Because again, I love heat inserts. They're just they make life better, in my opinion. Right, I'm gonna try to be fast in this stream because my wife's already calling me. She's probably on her way home, so let's I'll try to speed it up. But I know I end up like rambling too much, but I'll try to be fast. All right, and then say let's see. PC Loader says, or PC Load Letter says, I'd be cool if you could include a test fit print with the case design. Yeah, maybe I will actually. But here's the thing though. So let's say I include the print. You try the print and then you find out that, hey, like stand-up gamer, your tolerances are awesome. I can't replicate those tolerances. So the issue with that is like I am not going to be like these designs aren't parametric in that you can just like punch in a number and then boom, like you now have different tolerances. And I am likely not going to be making like different versions of tolerances for this because again, like these cases are free. I'm sure you've seen other case designers who are online do it because obviously they're charging you for their case. I am not, and so the level of like aftermarket support I'll be providing is going to be quite low. And so again, I'm happy to share like the test print file. I just don't know. I guess it'll be good in that like you can find out right away like can I print this case or not, right? So yeah, I think to that point I'll provide the test print, and then you can pretty much like deal with that. Let's see. Miss Ann York asks, got no links, too popular are PMM and Zero Mouse. Yeah, I've heard about those ones, but they just never been on my radar again. I know they're good. Maybe I'm just like a marketing shill where I just don't see many of my like favorite streamers who like play Apex or whatever like really use those. Or maybe they do. Or maybe I just don't really care. I'm at this like point where I'm so bad at gaming, but I still do it. But like I know that like me getting a better mouse is not going to change that. So yeah, but I totally believe you. And then PC Loader asks, I can adjust horizontal expansion so it works. Does that work for lobes though? Because I understand what you're saying. So like the slicer can make some changes for hold on, give me a second here. So here's some more of my test prints. So like I know that, you know, when you go into your slicer, you can kind of like change how like wide something is, but I mean, can you do that within sections? Because for instance, let's say for instance, so these are like different tolerances. So that's why some of them are loose. Actually, some of them are very loose. But let's say you change the tolerance for like, I want it to be like bigger this, you know, like bigger outwards. The problem with that, I mean, in my head is that like, if for instance you have screw holes, like will those be affected as well? Or could you actually isolate the expansion that you're asking for. And then to that point too, I mean, we've got a lobe right beside a fan mount. And so, yeah, that's why I guess I'm worried that, like, you know, maybe the tolerances aren't going to be the best for this. Because I'll be honest, like, prior to my printer shitting the bed, I was able to get like super nice tolerances. So these ones were printed before everything kind of went south, but these are 0. Like I've tested from like 0.5 down to like 0.25, 0.125. I've even done like 0.005, and what I found from my particular printer is that 0 is what worked the best. And so, yeah, so I mean, I guess to that point, like, you better have a dialed printer to get this one going, I guess. But let me look into that some more. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe there is a way to like just do like one section of a part and have that scaled. See, my issue is that, like, because these are like, it's like all my cases are not like production ready, and they're essentially just like sketches, in that sometimes I will make references instead of like references on like a drawing. Sometimes, because I'm trying to make these as fast as I can, I will reference like a lobe to the hole. And so if you change, if I were to come in here and create different variations of this design, like it would be basically like just, so the way I always say, it's like my cases are like the CAD I have is like it's like made by like spaghetti, like raw spaghetti sticks and glue. And so like when I change a few things in my CAD, a lot of things can break because they're just not properly designed. Because again, this isn't really like product development. It's more just like, hey, I have an idea, I'm just gonna put it out as fast as I can. And so yeah, so but maybe I'll look into the CAD PC load letter and see how many bad references I make. Maybe I can change some of those references so I can change the tolerance for these cuts. But I guess to that point, like, so PC load letter, what tolerance do you normally use for your prints? I'd love to hear you type that down. Cool. And then Miss N York asks, can't wait for the small form factor 590 FE case. Yeah. So obviously a little clickbaity that I put it up there, but I mean, it's true though, because if you've seen some of the announcements for the new RTX 5090, they're tiny. I mean, they're tiny in comparison to like the 4090, I believe. So the 4090 was like 3 slot. I mean, the length isn't that bad. It's like 305 or 315 or something like that. But the new RTX 5090, it's like a small form factor dream come true. I mean, I think the only thing that's going to really hold you back is probably cooling. But I think if the card was designed properly, it should be able to cool itself even like in an open bench situation. And so if you just make sure you have a case that has good airflow, I think that shouldn't be an issue. So I'm really excited for that. And if you're like if you're in the chat and you're already like prepped to buy one, like raise your hand. I wanna salute you for being such a baller, because like I know they said that the price tag is gonna be like $2,000, but I have a feeling that's gonna be like rare, and we're gonna see like a lot of price gouging for those things. I really hope that's not the case. I mean, I'm in no position to buy one. I can no longer really afford to go high end anymore, but a boy can dream. A boy can dream. Okay, so let me go ahead and put in some more of these heat inserts and stop yapping, because I want to get this done before the wife comes home, because I still have to make dinner. Actually, I mean, to that point, like I'm curious, like what time is it for everyone? So for me, obviously, PST, we started this around 3 o'clock, and I'll have to make dinner soon. But in my previous streams, I've had people from like Brazil, people from I think someone was from like Sweden at one point. So it's always fun. And then PC load letter, I only use horizontal expansion in the slicer to fine-tune the fit for tight tolerances. I don't think small changes like 0.03 would change overall fit. So I'd be a little hesitant to be like, you're right. So I think maybe in your experience that's okay, but I know that, like, especially for PC stuff, where like if you change 0.3 on one, like eventually, like with enough changes, for instance, like let's take a look at this part here. So imagine you've got this as a starting point that doesn't change, but then this is 0.3 off, like, and if this mount, like, or for actually, this is a better example. So if you look here, these are all separate, but they're all part of the same system. And so if this is already 0.3 off, this part here, and then all of a sudden you also have 0.3 off on this one, like you could be off by almost like more than 0.5 millimeter. And so I know 0.5 millimeter doesn't seem that much, but I think once you have like a bunch of holes that you're dealing with, it might start biting you in the ass really quick. So I am just reluctant on that. But you did mention that you used 0.3, and so I'll definitely... Oh, okay, sorry. So I read too far, but let me backtrack a little bit. So yeah, so 0.03, I mean, maybe that's, I think I didn't read that extra zero in there. Okay. And then PC load letter, it says you're Pacific. Okay, so we're in the same time zone. Awesome. And then Miss in York. Oh my God, it's past midnight for you. Hey, thank you so much for coming to the stream. I really appreciate it, because I would be sleeping by then. I'm an old man. Stayed up for AGDQ, but hopped in over to your stream. What is AGDQ? I feel like I'm a total noob by asking that, but yeah, look, you're from Sweden, awesome. So yeah, welcome to the stream. I really appreciate that. And PC load letter. So expansion doesn't change the center to center distances; it changes the wall perimeter offset. And so I see. Okay. So, well, in that case then, PC load letter, maybe I don't have to make any changes, because if center to center doesn't really change, then no, you know what, that might affect a few things, but maybe you can get away with it. But maybe you'll watch and you'll get a better understanding to know if that process will work out for you, because I know that, like, some of these walls are flush directly to the MakerBeam extrusions, and so it might affect it in that sense. So like you might find like the overall case might shrink, because if you are dealing with the walls. So, but let's put it together, and maybe while I'm put it together, like if you do find a section where you're like, hey, that particular part, yeah, that's gonna be an issue if I do any wall expansions. So. Let me continue with that. What else am I doing here? I am also putting heat inserts into the GPU holder. All right, cool. And basically, so this particular case is micro ATX, so you will have expansion ports up to 4. And yeah, hopefully people appreciate that, because I know that, like, sometimes like cases only have like 3 for micro ATX, but I put in 4. Because I did design it around a theoretical, like, 4090. I don't own one, so I can't really verify that. But I know that, like, my 3080 should fit in here. Should. I'm actually not going to be installing the 3080 in this one. If any of you are fairly old or been gaming for a while, you're going to laugh at some of the hardware I'm putting in today, just to show that everything kind of works. It's pretty old school stuff. It still works, though. But it's just like laughable how like ancient it is. Like it's so old that like I think like AMD APUs will like beat it. Alright, let's see. Miss in York writes, game speedrunning event on Twitch happens only twice a year. Oh, nice. Are there any particular games that you follow for speedruns? I love watching like the Dark Souls ones. Those were funny when they totally cheese the crap out of the game, but like it's still amazing. I think what's fascinating is watching those speed runs where those games are hard, where like they still speed run it, but then when when they have to fight the boss, they just like demolish the boss. So it's like, it's almost like you can get caught watching and being like, man, this guy probably can't even play the game properly, and then all of a sudden he just like one-shots a boss or kind of thing. So those are funny. Okay, so we've got the, I think I've installed the heat inserts that I actually want in here, and the rest of the heat inserts I have set out are going to be just for essentially like nuts. So they're not going to be really used as like inserts per se. No, I'm wrong. There are more heat inserts. Okay, I missed like 4 of them, and these heat inserts are going to be for the case feet. I do have like this one mangled. You know, it's funny. Obviously I think if you're in here and you like 3D printing, we all probably follow the same people. But I think it was a CNC Kitchen recently put out a product where they can like remove heat inserts. But I actually have an example here of this particular insert. I had removed from a different case, and it still actually has the plastic from the previous case. But I was thinking about being snarky on the channel and just being like, you can just like, you can tilt your soldering iron and you don't need to buy that. But I actually haven't watched it yet, but I did see the thumbnail for it. But I mean, again, like if you really want to remove a heat insert, you could just like literally like, I can even just show you right now here. Let me I'll put one in. So let me put in a heat insert. All right, so that's in. I'm gonna let it cool off. I showed this on my other streams too, because there was a project where I think there was a point in time where I ran out of heat inserts, and so I had to like get old ones out. But actually, no, I won't do it to this one. Let's do it to another one, because I don't want to ruin it. But do we have? Oh, we don't. Okay, I'll just do it for this one then. Not a big deal. So if you just take your soldering iron and, you know, heat up the brass insert and just leave it there for a little bit, it should be pretty fast. But if you like just tilt your soldering iron, you could just like kind of pull it out. It does mangle it a little bit, but I mean, even with that tool, I think you're still gonna run the risk of like mangling it anyways. But I don't know. But I guess I don't know. Maybe it is for people who really want to maintain like an aesthetic. But I think it's still gonna get mangled even with the tools that they were showing. But I could be wrong. Maybe I should watch that video before I start talking crap. And then let's see. Blindfolded Dark Souls is fun to blindfolded. So what, do they just memorize the map? Like that's crazy. I don't know about that. That's insane. I think he pointed out that you can tilt an insert. Okay, so he did mention. Okay, yeah. I mean, here I am talking crap about this dude who's like a total powerhouse in the 3D printing scene, and he works so hard to do what he does, and here I am like a little lowly YouTuber talking crap, where I don't have space to do that. I usually take flush cutters to the part to get old inserts out. I usually take flush cutters to the part. Oh, you mean like you take this guy and just kind of fucking, sorry, you just like cut it out? Is that what you're saying? And then that makes sense if you're not gonna if you're not trying to like reuse it. Yeah, totally. Okay, so I think, oh man, I keep saying like that's the last heat insert, and because I'm just too busy yapping. I just don't know if I would buy that tool. I mean, on the thumbnail, it's like basically like a new attachment, just like this. And this soldering end is like just for heat inserts, and this particular soldering iron that I'm showing right now, like I only use it for heat inserts. It's never like actually done any real soldering ever. But I think it's kind of a hassle changing out the heads all the time. But I guess if you're doing like a whole bunch of like heat insert removal, then yeah, I guess that could be pretty useful. But for now, I don't know. I don't do enough of that stuff. So let's get back to the table view. All right. We've got heat inserts in where they need to be. I can now start putting in the MakerBeams. Okay, let's do MakerBeam. So I'm going to put away this hammer because I never used it. And let's see. All right, so the first one. Wait, did I install that wrong? No, I didn't. Okay. So let's get these beams. And if you're wondering, so these are 10 millimeter by 10 millimeter, and these are 300 millimeters. I'll definitely put in links for it at the end of the stream. But the original MakerBeam has always been 10 millimeter. And so if you've seen other ones for PCs, sometimes they use the like MakerBeam XL, which is, I think is like 25 or 20. But I'm using the OG MakerBeams. I've had these like, man, is it almost 10 years now? Almost 10 years. No, I don't think it's 10 years. I think it was like 2017. Yeah, almost 10 years. But if you follow me on my other socials, I even use like, if you take 8 of these and you make them into squares, you can, there's like little square attachments you can buy to make them squares. And I also have some in like 150, but if you follow my socials, I even had a case that had like Crossfire. It was like full ATX Crossfire, so two Vega GPUs. And the only thing was, though, that particular case that I designed didn't use an ATX power supply, though. But like, there's a lot of cool things you can do with the MakerBeams. All right, I need to stop yapping. So to install the front part, so I'll show you the front first, but maybe we can zoom in a little bit more. Hopefully the angle's okay. All right. And then let's see. And Mist and York says, you got your money's worth out of those. Are you talking about the MakerBeams, or maybe you are talking about the MakerBeams? But yeah, the MakerBeams are sick. I love these things. Like, it's just so fun as a maker. So again, these little T-nuts, they're called T-nuts. They just slide in, and then, so for this particular build, do I have the angle right? No, I don't. I actually want to show you this way. Yes. Wait. Yeah, okay, so there's a little notch here, and there's also the screw hole, and basically this just kind of, the little notch kind of aligns it, and then you would then take one of your screws from the kit or wherever screws you have. Again, these are just M3s. Actually, to that point, I did buy, okay, so if you don't have the kit, I did find this on Amazon. I just bought it. I haven't actually used it, but I know they're all M3, and so I will be linking this. And so this should cover everything on here in terms of the MakerBeam. So again, this little guy here. So I mean, I just searched like M3 assorted or something, and it came with all these, and that, hopefully that covers like that one question I had where someone was wondering like what specific screw I need. And again, I think the answer is, if you buy the MakerBeam kit, it will likely be in there, and if not, I'll link that little package with all the assorted screws. Okay. Okay, so to your point, PC load letter. So if you're just taking into account horizontal expansion, you're saying it shouldn't affect it if this is like vertical. But I know that, I think we'll come upon them soon, but there are some where like they're printed in such a way that it actually is part of the horizontal part, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. And let me go ahead and put in the T-nut on this one here. All right. Yeah, I'm so bummed that like I have to calibrate the printer with all the new parts on there now, because honestly, right out of the box, if you've seen the review I've done for this GD Tech X Max 3, that thing was just like super accurate. Like the quality coming out of it was just like mind-blowing, because I mean I came off a an artillery Sidewinder X1, and it was also a great printer, and I bought it because again, it's just it was a large printer, and the bigger they are, the more I like them. But the thing is, I think I'm gonna run into the same issue that I had with the Sidewinder, where the Sidewinder stock was actually really good until I started fiddling with it. And I mean, now you might be saying like, why do you fiddle with it? Well, so for instance, this case is printed out with PETG with carbon fiber, and you can't do that. You can if you're rich, you can print with it with normal like nozzles. The problem is they'll just wear down super fast, and so if you just keep printing with carbon fiber filaments or glass fiber filaments or any filament with like some sort of like additive in it, like they say that even like glow in the dark is like super abrasive, you will wear down your nozzle, and then you'll just have to keep replacing it because the hole just gets so much bigger. And to combat that, you do use the hardened steel nozzles, but then they have like their own like temperature profiles or whatever, and it just like it becomes kind of a mess. And so so now when the Sidewinder was no longer stock, I had to deal with all the issues that came with using these different filaments, and now that's starting to happen now. So like a lot of these like prints have like super nice crisp corners. Here I am just like playing with the zoom too much. Like they have like super crisp corners, right? But then because I haven't calibrated the new hot end and nozzle, like I actually finally got rid of the clogging, I hope. But I was able to get some prints done, but I am just not so happy with how they're coming out. Like a lot of these corners are being rounded. Again, I'm getting like crazy elephant foot on here. I mean, it's all user issues, but again, I mean, I think someone asked in the beginning what printer to get. Like, I think you just come to an age where you just don't want to tinker anymore. And I am definitely at that age where I am just over tinkering. And let me see. So we've got the front ones on now. You can almost kind of see like how it's all coming together. And give me 1 second. I'm gonna blow my nose again. Man, I hate getting sick. But all right, so one thing I do need to think about though. So we are gonna be. I think I'll just put him in now because I know that it's kind of a hassle doing it later. But the side panels, I know that for one side, so on the side of the motherboard, which is going to be this side here, basically, I didn't really find a way to make it work without hardware. So I'm going to be putting in the hardware in here now that I'm not going to be actually fiddling with because it's for a later time, but I'm just going to put it in now so I don't have to do it later. So I'm just dropping these in. So there should be 4 in there. Yeah, 4, because there's going to be a mount for every panel. And then, I mean, I think you can kind of get the gist. Basically, when the side panels do come, they're also going to be affixed the same way. I mean, they're going to be panels just like this as well, and they'll just go on there. And then for the motherboard side, they will be screwed. All right, let's see. PC Loadlighter says, first thing I did with my artillery genius was install a hardened nozzle. Yeah, I mean, in all honest truth, I mean, in my last stream, I was saying if Bamboo Labs comes out with a 400 by 400 and AMS, I will buy it. I do have a new one now, so like I think the other requisite is that it just comes stock with a hardened steel nozzle and 0.6 or even 0.8, because I think if you're getting printers that large already, like a 0.4 is kind of like just like a little bit comical, unless you're making like you know firsthand you're gonna be like, I'm gonna be making some like crazy sculpture that's gonna take like 5 days to print, so I need the 0.4 because I want the quality. But I think for most people that are printing so large, like I think 0.8 is like reasonable to design around, because then that way, like, you can still have like decent print times, and then you're also going to be able to, like, you know, you are printing big. Like this is already kind of wobbly as it is, and it's like fairly short run. But like if you have larger parts, like you want them to be stronger. So I think people are going to be using like reinforced filaments, just like carbon fiber or glass fiber. So Bamboo Labs, if you ever watch this video, probably not. 400 by 400, 0.6 or bigger nozzle, and then hardened steel nozzle stock. So that way there's no like fiddling I have to do, because I'm sure load letter, when you installed the hardened steel nozzle, that wasn't just like a drop in, right? Like I'm assuming you ended up having to do like some profile changes and whatnot. I'd love to avoid that. And then Miss N. York says, that's funny, I also own an artillery Sidewinder X2. You know, honestly, the artillery Sidewinder X2, for how much I paid for it, I'm not even like mad, because like it was like, I think I got it for like $300 US. And basically that, I mean, for that price and the how big it was, like you're able to like print out like full size like Mandalorian helmets or whatever on it. It was a great printer. But it just, you know, it is older, and so like I think in terms of technology and like quality, like it's just been surpassed. But I maybe I talk too much crap about it, but obviously like I have a lot to thank to that machine because of like how capable it was for the price that I paid. Because the Cheaty Tech, when it came out, it was like $1,000. So I mean, they're really not in the same like ballpark. And then Miss N. York says, Bamboo Lab needs to make a 310 by 310 or larger printer ready. Yeah, totally, 100% agree. And if they do that, like, you will not see any other brands in this household, because, I mean, I don't think I'd buy anything else. I mean, they just do a good job of like providing a good user experience. And here I am yapping. Okay, but anyway, so basically, this rail will have panels. I know that. Okay. And this is also the motherboard side. I think my wife is home. I hear her like little Tesla reverse sound. Okay, so, and I know that I will be installing these motherboard mounts. So I need to add 3 more to the, hold on, I'm trying to get the orientation right in my head. I think this is the bottom. And I know that the motherboard is upside down, so this has to be on the top. Okay, cool. So I need to put 3 on this side. So I'm installing 3 in the inside of this rail. It all makes, I'll explain it more when I get to it. But I'm just putting these in the rails now, so I don't have to do them later. If you've ever watched the other video where I'm also using MakerBeam rails, that was an actual video, not a live stream. And I didn't put in like how many times I had to take apart that case, because I kept on like getting the number of T-nuts inside, and so I'm trying to be better about that now. So on the opposite side of it, this will be the bottom. I know that we're going to be installing this. Wait, actually, did I get that wrong? Is this the top? Hold on one second. No, that's right, that's right. So the top of ATX is all in line. Okay, so we definitely need, so I got 3 holes here. And so I already put in 1, because I also had to do like last minute, I put in a, I had to design a 2.5 hard drive mount. Now originally I was not going to put any hard drive mounts in here at all, because I mean, I think I love small form factor. And if you love small form factor, you are not using normal drives anymore. You were just going straight NVMe. And that was the original plan. But because the hardware I'm putting in here doesn't have NVMe at all, I had to basically, put in like this little tiny bracket just for 1 hard drive. But it's there. Because someone in my last stream asked, how many hard drives can I put in this thing? And then my initial answer was like 0, but that's now changed, obviously. Okay, so we've got those T-nuts in for the motherboard and the side panel. Now I am also going to be putting in, no way, I just broke it. Oh boy. I just broke that. All right, so don't be like me and just wave your arms around everywhere. My God, I just broke it. All right, we're gonna MacGyver this thing. This is yeah. I mean, so again, to that point where like 3D printing cases, it's not metal unless you like 3D print metal. Then yeah, like you'll get like metal durability, but that's not the case here. Like recently, I don't know how old the video was, but somebody posted a video or like a short about they purchased a pre-built PC, but it came with a 3D printed case, and like it came to them broken, and in my head I'm like, why did you even buy that? Like, I don't know. But anyway, so this is unfortunate. But there are ways to repair this. I mean, this is not the biggest thing. And obviously, this is also like, again, like every case I put out for free, and it's free kind of for a reason, because a lot of these are just sketches. Like, normally, if you have a tab just like that, the way this was printed, obviously this is the bottom, and then the layers go like that. And if you have a very small protrusion just like this, you never want to print it in this orientation, because basically what you're doing is like, so all the layers are here, and if you knock it with your entire arm, it can break, and this one broke, and basically it broke by the layers just separating. It wasn't even about like, could the material take it? It was the actual layers just broke off. And so again, free cases because they are essentially just sketches. But I do have an idea on how to fix this. Bear with me. So one idea is to just use like my soldering iron and melt it. But I also have this other thing that I sometimes do. I don't like doing it because it's really bad for your health. But let me actually bring out my carbon air filter here. Whoops. Okay, so this is a carbon air filter that I use for soldering, which I actually should have turned it on when I was doing the heat inserts, but here's a little trick I learned from someone who used to work at Mattel. Basically, if you mix super glue, give me 1 second. All right, so if you mix super glue and baking soda, it changes chemically to the point where it not only accelerates the CA, or the super glue, it also just changes the chemicals between both of them, and it almost creates like an acrylic. And it's like a super hard material that comes from it. But the problem is it's like poisonous, and so don't do it. Okay, let's see. Oh no, rip. Oh no, is that part modular? So it's modular in a sense that like it's one part of a whole part, but it is definitely not modular right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it together so that we can at least finish the stream. And thank you so much for bearing with me, because this is quite embarrassing, but also kind of funny. Let me see, maybe, God, this is like not a good look where I'm taking like an X-Acto knife. So I got baking soda here. I'm using my X-Acto knife as like a little spoon. Look at how skilled I am, though. Actually, let me zoom in. Watch. By the end of the stream, we're just gonna have baking soda all over this part. All right, so I'm gonna try to be careful here. So, could I zoom in even more? I wonder. I just don't know if the angle is gonna be correct. Oof. Hold on, the camera's kind of in the way. I can't really see what I'm looking at, but that's good enough. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is just dump some baking soda in here and totally miss. All right, so you got baking soda there. What I'm trying to do right now is just fill in that crack. Take some of the spilled baking soda. All right, maybe a little bit more. It doesn't really hurt. It's just gonna be messy. Yeah, these are the things you don't see. I mean, in some of my other videos, I've actually done the same thing. I just didn't say anything because it was like, well, I'm not going to print out another one, and no one's even going to know. But basically, okay, so I filled in the area with baking soda. And now I'm going to take the CA, or I never know how to say this properly. It's like cyanacrylate. Yeah, anyways, it's CA. It's super glue. So I'm gonna put super glue in this, on this end. Don't tell me this is dry. Of course it's dry. This is what I get. No, I still hear it. Maybe it just needs to be punched through. Come on. Wow, I don't know how old this bottle is. Let's see. Hopefully it's like just a jam that's like past that. Okay, cool. All right, so let's see. Can you still see this? Let's see. Joined just in time for the white powder. Of course, you should have seen the skill too. Like I like retrieved it from this box. Look at this. Like, where else can you get skills like that? Like, look at that. That is perfect. But anyway, so I've got the baking powder on one part, and now I'm going to put super glue on this part here, and it should be open now because I did punch like a pretty big hole through it. Now you have one go for this because, like I said, the baking powder acts as an accelerant for super glue. So if you don't get it right, it's kind of stuck on there. But I mean, it's already broken, so what do we got to lose? But I should actually clear out some of this stuff here, because if the super glue does seep past it, it's gonna basically, whatever you have seeping over will become like as hard as plastic. So let's see. Oh, I'm a little off, but it's okay. All right, so that's super glued on. No need for an accelerator because, again, the baking powder is an accelerator. And I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up breaking again while we're like working on it, but I think it should hold for now. But again, this is like a free case that you can download, and it's free for a reason. Actually, here's some more skills here. All right, we're gonna make a line. So we've got like a seam. That's too much. What do they normally use? Like a credit card, right? Oops, should not drop super glue all over the desk. All right, so I'm just gonna put like a little line of baking soda where the crack was on one part, because on the inside I don't really care because no one's gonna see that. So let's go ahead and dump some super glue on there. That was a little too much, but I can show you, like, if you take the baking soda and dump it over like wet super glue, the super glue like absorbs it, or sorry, the baking soda absorbs it, and it like hardens like almost instantly. And then what you're left with is like this like clear, like super hard plastic. Well, I really shouldn't leave these rails like this. So let me blow this out. It's hard to see. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but basically you're left with like this like kind of acrylic plastic type thing. Probably have like, yeah, I have like baking soda all over the front of it now. All right, cool. That was fun. It's always fun failing. Yeah, the wife is home now, so I did not do this as fast as I thought I could, but it's okay. We can move forward. I'm gonna close this up, and it's probably the last time I'm able to use this. Let's see. Crossing fingers, yeah. Time to make that separate piece that screws on. Time to make that separate piece that screws on. Oh, you mean over here? Maybe, I don't know. I think it'll be fine. For this, I mean, obviously, like, the strength of this is never going to be the same as it is for like a metal case, but I think that's just like the fun you have doing 3D printing. And then Steve Burr says, I'll buy you a ring that has just enough for a bump in it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that'd be pretty funny, but I mean, we're not talking about that right now, I guess. Okay, so round 2 of the fails. Where was I? So I know that I put like, I have to like reinsert all these T-nuts in now. and I bet you any money I'll probably break another one. Like I think it's just gonna happen. And I do apologize for it, but that's just the price we pay for watching some YouTuber sharing free cases. All right, so now we don't need to be zoomed in that much, but I'm going to reinstall it and try not to like break it. And I have a feeling it's gonna break again, knowing my luck. And then PC Load Letter says, "Hi wife, sorry for delaying dinner." Okay. Well, she knows not to come in here right now because I did tell her I was gonna stream today, so she's super supportive of what I do here, and so we'll say hi to her later. She will very likely not come in. All right, so now I'm dropping in the T-nuts that were for the. What were these for again? So this is the bottom, so it has 3 for this, and this is for the top, and it only has. I think it has, how many? Oh, it also has 3. Okay, so it has 3. And am I doing that right? So there's 3. There's 1 for the hard drive here, 3 for these guys, 3 for this, and I think that's it. Okay, cool. All right, so then on the other side though, we do have the, actually, what is this? Okay. Wait, am I doing that right? Anyway, so this is the side panel. I probably lost a T-nut on the ground when I just freaking sideswiped it. Yeah, so 3D printed cases. Durable enough to use as a case, but not durable enough to survive being used and moved around by a goober like me. And I didn't even turn... Oh, Jesus. I didn't even turn on the carbon air filter. I should have, but luckily you didn't see. But normally what happens is if you do it enough, like it'll actually like it'll just like smoke because like there's an exothermic reaction that happens. And then thumbnail the stream as yapping stream. Yeah, I mean it pretty much is. I do apologize. All right, let's see. So we've got these in here, and I think for now that's. Should be, because I don't think I designed any new. I don't think I designed any new like accessories for it yet. But I also did just find the one I dropped. Sweet. All right, so it's now time to install the. Actually, I don't need to install this yet, but I will install the top, or sorry, the rear. And I'm just gonna change the cameras because. We can just do it this way. All right, so the rear, which is right over here, will go like this. And then these also have like little locating notches that you can use. And the screws for this, I think, or is it this one? What did I use last time? No, let's open up the new pack of assorted screws. And you might be wondering, oh, which size screw should I wear? Or which size screw should I use? And the answer is going to be the right one. So right now, okay, I'll be nice. So basically, I'll be using for the rear, I'm going to be doing M3 10, so 10 millimeters, if you're wondering. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it really is like a yapping stream, though. But I do thank you for stopping by and listening to all the yapping. And I mean, like, what time do you think you're going to go to bed, though? Like, it's like, you said you're in Sweden right now. You're probably going to start doing some more gaming, aren't you? I remember that life. Maybe you're old like me and you just want to go to bed now. Yeah, so I mean, as you put in more parts, it's going to be more stable. I mean, obviously it's still going to be a plastic case, so don't like throw it around. But when I did break it, it's like, you saw it, it was just a freestanding, like, little like cantilever arm, and it was bound to break. Actually, when I was making the other case, like, I really thought I was going to just break it right away. and it never happened, but obviously I think I was way more careful with the other case, but I think here I'm kind of like rushing because I am just yapping too much and wasting time, so maybe I should just slow down more. Okay, so it should be more stable now, but we did get a lot of powder in the front. Actually, it's kind of gone. That's good. There's definitely more powder on the ground though. Okay, so yeah, just to explain a little bit, this is the top, and then this is the bottom, and now we're gonna install the bottom part actually. And of course, I don't have it. I don't have the bottom T-nuts. See, I knew this was gonna happen. Okay, so I need to put T-nuts on the bottom. Now I'm just risking like, I guess, so the smart thing to do would be to remove it altogether, but I think we can get away with just removing the, like one side of it and then dropping in the T-nuts. So for this one, it needs four on each side. So when you do buy the MakerBeam kit, make sure you have enough, aka buy like more than you need. But again, I think if you're like a little tinkerer and you like making stuff, like this is one of those things where it's like it's not really a bad thing to have so many, because again, you can do a lot of cool stuff with this MakerBeam kit. All right, so now that those are in, I'm gonna screw it back in again, and I probably forgot something again, but for now we've got those in. All right, so now we're putting in 4 more. Yo, Steve, you just gave 20 bucks? Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Thank you. You didn't have to. That's awesome, man. Thank you. That's like the most I've ever gotten on a stream. This one dude from Brazil, he was so funny. He gave me like the way it was presented on the chat, it was like a lot of like, I guess like zeros in there, because like it was just a lower currency, but it was so funny. I think the math turned out it was like 3 cents or something, so it was actually really funny. But thank you, man. That's crazy. You literally just like helped me pay for the whole entire filament roll that I just wasted trying to make this case. I don't know if you've been following, if any of you all follow my YouTube channel and my shorts. Like, I've been battling with this like issue with my printer for like over a week now, and with all like the calibrations and attempts to print stuff, I used up an entire roll and it was all just wasted. Like, I had it right here. I mean, this doesn't show the entire roll that was wasted, but it was just like crap print after crap print. Like, can you imagine, this one here was like the one that really hurt the most. Was like, it was 90% done. It was this part here, and it just decided to like die, like 10% to go. I guess I could have done my little like baking soda and crazy glue trick, but no, that was not gonna happen. Oh, to that point too, like that, because the byproduct is like it's almost like acrylic. You could file and even tap that final product from the baking soda and the super glue. It's like hard enough that you can actually like literally tap it. So just if you want to know more about that. And then PC Loader Letter says, powder adds to the charm. Yeah, it does. And then I got a little heart from Mist in York. But yeah, Steve Burr, man, dude, I appreciate it, man. That means a lot. I really appreciate that. Yeah, you literally paid for like the filament that was wasted on this project, so thank you. All right, so now so this is the bottom panel, and what's important about this is that the orientation of the power supply relies on this particular panel, and so it needs to be like strong enough to hold up the power supply. But even then, the power supply is kind of like held on by gravity in a way. So like it's crucial, but not like super, super crucial. Now I'm just lining up the T-nuts so that they don't slide around when I screw this in finally. And then, yeah, that should be lined up now. And for the screws on this, I think I can use the ones that came in the kit, but let me see what else I have in here. Let's see. I've got some 8s, but I think the ones in the kits should work though. So let's go ahead and do that. So again, this is from the MakerBeam kit, and they'll just screw on. And I'd like to show you getting them screwed in, but there's really not much to see. Maybe I'll do like a few and then I'll turn it over so that you can see it on camera, but for now it's like you're literally just like screwing in stuff. And I'm afraid I might move the T-nuts, but I'll do it anyways for the stream. Let's see. I'll probably lose them, but it's okay. All right, so essentially I've lined up the T-nuts with the mounting holes, and let's see if we can get these in. I still can't believe you did. I know who it is. I just I don't want to call it out. So, I mean, I was playing a little dumb, but I know Steve Burr. Because you use your entire name, my goodness. Anyways, Steve and I go way back. So funny enough, before I played Grand Theft Auto, I never like talked online, and like I never really understood the idea of like why would I want to talk to a bunch of strangers playing online. But it was but then the Grand Theft Auto kind of changed that, because it was just like it was a hoot way back when. I don't know. I haven't played Grand Theft Auto in a while, but back then, it was just like a circus, and things were just fun because, like, you know, you could still like grief people in certain ways. But I think at the time we met, Steve, I think the griefing method was like that armored Mitsubishi Lancer, and then also the armored like Hummer or whatever. But that was it. Like there was no like Iron Man in the sky. There was no like you could steal jets, but you couldn't like own the jet. So things were just like simple, and so like it was just a lot of fun. But then yeah, to that point though, like because it was so fun, like I ended up like kind of talking on mic, and then just made a bunch of friends online, and Steve here actually is one of them. And you know, I always heard stories. Like I used to have friends that used to play like WoW, and they would be like, oh, I met up with my little clan member. I'm like, why would you do that? It's so weird. But then I guess because Steve and I used to play like every night and every day, and just like we would just talk, and yeah, we just became like actual real friends. And to the point now, like I missed you on Thanksgiving, but like I think we've met each other like maybe 4 times now or something like that. And it's always been fun. It's always yeah. I do feel bad we couldn't meet each other on Thanksgiving, but it's always so cool to see you, dude. And thank you so much. I didn't want to call you out because I know that you used your real name, so I was like, oh, I don't want to like dox this dude. Okay, so I mean, you're kind of getting the gist of the case right now. So like, again, this is gonna hold micro ATX, and then when you install these panels, it gets stronger and stronger. So I'm not really worried anymore, because when it was just being held by one screw, it was definitely like super sketchy. But because now it's kind of all together, it's definitely a lot more stronger. And I just realized, so again, to the point where I think it was a PC load letter, you were talking about like shrinking the PC case. I think that was you. Yeah, and then so again, so this particular mount here is a motherboard mount. I didn't put a heat insert on it, but I just don't know how it will affect the plan of any horizontal changes to the walls. But what I'll do is at the end of the stream, I will I'll share the files, and maybe you can comment and be like, hey, like it would be a lot better if it actually did have some tolerance changes, and then your original idea wasn't going to work. But hopefully it does. I don't know. That'd be really cool though, because then if that were the case, then it'll definitely make my life easier. Because like originally I had thought that like I would have to make a whole bunch of tolerances, but so far if your idea pans out, that'll be really cool. Because when I did the steam machine replica, like I only put in one tolerance, but the tolerance I put in was like very lax, and so I think it allowed many people to still even try it, because if their printer was more accurate than mine, then they had no issues. But the problem is now it's like so before I did the steam machine with the Artillery X1, and that thing, like, because it's definitely like a user issue, it's like a skill issue on my end, but I couldn't get it super accurate, and so I had to go with like 2.5 millimeter tolerance, and that's like way bigger than what you were talking about. You were talking about 0.005. That's like magnitude smaller than 0.25, and so I think people might have appreciated like I had a inaccurate printer, because I was able to just kind of like do it on my own, but then they were able to kind of also survive with it too. Because I have seen some photos of the people making the steam machine replica, and no one has said anything about the tolerances, but I think there might be some words with the zero tolerance. Okay, so before I put in the motherboard, actually no, let's go ahead and actually install the brackets. And let me see. Now I think, so funny enough, there is this like tiny little print I have here, and all it's doing is really just like locating where this needs to be. And the way you do it, it might be a little hard to see. Maybe if I zoom in, no. How would I show this to you? Maybe from here, okay. So basically, like when you put down this bracket, it's hard to tell where it needs to be. I mean, you can kind of eyeball it, because essentially like the mounts, with ATX, like all the mounts kind of line up. But to help you, basically I made this little spacer, and when you put the spacer in, it'll basically help you locate where it needs to be. But before you do that, make sure you line up all the needed hardware. So let me see. I think it's roughly around. Or what you could do actually is just like take the hardware, get them like close, and then screw them in. And don't do that. Watch me break it again. I have a feeling by the end of this stream, I'm going to break it again. Yeah, Steve, you came in right before I had like karate chopped like a whole piece off. And that's where I had to do the white powder trick. But that's just what it is, you know. It's like the streams just show it all. The good and the bad. And let's see. So now I'm just screwing in the parts. But I'm doing it lightly so that way I can still move it around. But it'll be on there. So then when I do have the spacer in, I can just like tighten it finally. And let's see. It's a little hard to see. So I'm going to flip it over so I can actually look down on it. All right. I'll come down this way. That didn't quite work. I never knew baking soda was... Yeah. Again, I was telling them that I brought out my little my carbon activated filter because one of the byproducts in that chemical reaction is actually cyanide. So if you like, I guess make sure you do it in a well ventilated place. But it's a pretty old school trick. I think people just don't talk about it because it is quite dangerous. But the idea that like cyanide comes out, it's like from what I hear. Hold on one second. Something doesn't seem right here. Did I screw up, or are my eyes just bad? Maybe my eyes are just bad. It almost looks like these aren't aligned, but they should be. But maybe it's just my eyes. Because the spacer should work. See, I think this is where I'm also kind of scared again for PC load letter. Like, if you're dealing with the walls, some of them are like referenced, and so. If not only are they referenced in the CAD, but like I literally have like a physical spacer that I'm using so that it'll help users align the part to the case. but I mean, you could leave that spacer in there too if you want to. It's not really needed. And then my thought was for the bottom was that because we do have this bracket locating where the motherboard needs to be, you can then just kind of like place this a little loosely as well, and it should also find itself eventually. But let me go ahead and turn it upside down. It makes it easier. And I am leaving one on near the front so that it can be used excuse me, for the hard drive bracket. What time is it? Oh my god. It is getting late. Okay, let me hurry up here, but we're almost done because again, I don't have the side panels. They still need to be measured out after I find out, like, because right now, like, I knew that these would fit, but I wasn't sure how much more it would grow vertically, and so that would affect like how much like I need to accommodate for the size or the height of the panel. And I know that, like, in my head I was thinking like, well, if they have the same tolerances, they should grow together, but I don't know, I'm just trying to be a little more careful about it, even though most of this is just a sketch anyways. Alright, so I'm going to keep this a little loose for now. I'll tighten it once the motherboard's in there. I'm trying to think now, do I need to install anything else before I put the motherboard in? I don't think so. Okay, so now we're going to go and put in the motherboard. Let's see. Miss in New York says, love those brackets. Looks kind of how the Ncase M2 have a bunch of rails. Yeah, I mean, I think in my previous stream I was telling y'all that like I was really worried about like having so much like hardware like all about, but then after seeing the M2 video, I was like, man, those things have like so much hardware everywhere, and like this is nothing compared to what they had, because they even have brackets for like the all-in-one coolers and whatnot. I'll show you a little later. I had this like funny thing that I did with this particular case. Originally, the goal was, again, micro ATX, because a lot of people have micro ATX, ATX power supply, and like lots of space for a video card. And then the other thing too was that some of my cases, like for instance, this is an ATX case, but it was made for water cooling. And then this is also ATX, but again, it's also made for just water cooling. So if you notice, I guess these are kind of the same width. So I guess I could technically make this into an air cooler as well, but it wouldn't be ATX anymore, I don't think. But also the other thing too is I didn't want to use any riser cables for the GPU, and so both of these use a riser cable, and I'm over riser cables. Remind me again, Steve, when you got your PC built, like, did it come with a riser cable, or did it just the GPU just go in normally? Because I was telling everyone here on chat, I hate riser cables now. So over them. I had one fail, like in my other case, the polished aluminum one. The riser cable was actually failing, so I'm like over those things. And you stop yapping and install the hardware. Okay. Don't laugh. This is the micro ATX motherboard that I have. It's not even the full size one, but if you look at the actual case, there's definitely way more mounting. There's more mounting holes available than there are for this particular motherboard. Like this motherboard only has, let's see, 4, so 6. So this one has 6 mounting holes, but you can see here that I have, like, I think, what, 2 extra or 3 extra, maybe 3 extra. And again, with micro ATX, like, it's not like ITX or ATX where there's only like one size. These guys like literally have like so many variations in the size of micro ATX. Like, actually I do have another micro ATX board, but I'm not using it for this one, but it's like this other one. And I think this one's even like smaller than this one I have here. Yeah, this is like tiny. Like if you compare the size of these two, like it's like shorter even, and also like narrower. Like it's just I'm not a big fan of micro-ATX because, well, I guess I am a fan of micro-ATX because they're kind of like small, and for the most part you can get some that are pretty full-featured. But I don't like designing for them, because then you end up in situations like this where it's like you look at the design and it's like, wait, why didn't you just make it smaller? Because there's so much space. But it's like, no, I can't make it smaller, because for people who do have the full size micro ATX, like, they're gonna need those extra holes. But yeah, air cooling. Let's see. So PC loader says, load letter says PCI slot. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, I know, it's actually really funny. Where did I even put that? Oh, here it is. I forgot I even had this, and it's funny because it even uses like an old hard drive. But yeah, it's got like, no one ever sees these anymore. These are PCI slots, and then it even has like IDE for hard drives and floppy. Yeah, and floppy as well. Like, those are like ancient. It even has a printer port. Like, this thing just cracks me up. But you know, hoarder me kept it because, again, for situations like this where I need like measurements sometimes. So right now I'm gonna install the motherboard inside here, and then maybe we can get this thing done like soon, because I thought I was gonna be done in like an hour, but that's just always what I say. So one thing though to note is that I am not going to be using the I/O shield for this. It was just too much to get it done. I know that for my other cases I was able to, but for this one I just gave up, because the way the seams were working, and then also trying to accommodate for like an actual 120mm fan in the back, it was just not going to happen. Actually, to that point, maybe I should install the fan now. I will, actually, because I'm not going to have enough room for it. So let me move this out of the way and drink some water and install the fan. Yeah, I think I need to do that. Okay. So this fan, so again, the holes here right now, they don't really fit like a full-on case fan screw. But when I upload the model, I will put in like a hole that's big enough for a case fan screw. Again, I don't know. In my head, I'm like, well, I'm not going to be using those case fan screws, but I know that many people will. So I'm just going to be using. I'm actually going to be using just the heat inserts as a nut to put these in, because again, this is not going to be installed for very long. Actually, it's going to be like taken apart probably right after the stream, because I need to do measurements and stuff. But let me go ahead and install this screw. I'll probably only put like 2 like diagonally across, just to like showcase the point that because it is air cooling, and I also wanted like some sort of exhaust or intake for this, like, and here it is essentially. Let's see. Hold on, what am I missing here? Okay, Tony the MLG says, I printed one of your cases and I wasn't able to fit in PC because of my CPU cooler being just too tall. I had the case just still hanging out. I'll try and use it again someday. Oh man, that sucks. So Tony, which case is that? I hope it's not this one here, because I know a lot of people wanted to print this one, because this is one of the ones where like I had like a 360mm cooler in here. I also had like a 240mm radiator in here. Like, this thing was like decked out to be like totally unlimited. But the problem was, like, not everybody wants to go through the hassle of installing water cooling or even using AIOs of that size. And so you were left with like basically, it is removable here. You were left with just like enough space to have an air cooler here. But I mean, I obviously do small form factor, so I was able to get the cooler in there. But I mean, most people don't really have that size. That's why for this one, I tried to design it so that like people with large air coolers aren't going to be limited. So hopefully people are happy about that. Let's see. Steve Burr says, it came with the cable, but I didn't use it in my build. For your information, my case is a Corsair IQ 7000X RGB. Nice. Yeah, so I think you made the right call not using the riser cable though. That I'm really not a fan of them. I think you've met my buddy Tommy, and like we had so many issues dealing with his PC, and like we didn't realize it was like the cable that was just like crapping itself, and so I think from then on I just had like a really bad taste in my mouth for riser cables. Even though like literally like all my cases still use them, but whatever. That's beyond the point. So again, air cooling, and we do have space for a 120mm fan. And now I am going to install the motherboard. Okay, and this is pretty straightforward. If you ever put a PC together, obviously like the motherboard goes in. Ooh, actually, this is a shorter motherboard. And with the full-size micro ATX, it'll be a little longer. But I guess you can come at it. You can't go in straight down. You can just come at it this way. It's not the biggest deal, but it is something to be aware of, though. All right, so, and then I think I mentioned it before, but these aren't fully locked down at the bottom rail, but I can get it aligned, which I just did right now. And these are aligned down here. And let me go ahead and install that. Here, I'm gonna use my funny screwdriver. Look at this. This is like how you compensate as a PC builder. Like you get like this screwdriver that is totally unneeded, but look how long this thing is. This is like having like a lifted truck for a PC builder. You know I'm not packing because of how big my screwdriver is. Let's see. Which one here? Yeah. Upside down GPUs in new meta really feels like the CF-SFX solidified how great cooling can be. Yeah, you know, it's funny, like, I remember, like, even when, like, if you remember that form factor BTX, like, I think Intel tried to put it out, and basically it's just basically upside down, and it's just funny how that kind of went away. I think it went away because it was still just, easier to deal with like cooling when everything kind of came up towards the CPU, because for this situation here, like you're kind of just like forcing air like kind of down below, but I like doing it. Like I think it's like I think it looks cool too, having the GPU up top. All right, so I'm putting in the screws. Actually, I take it back. This is kind of sick. I bought this screwdriver kind of like as a joke in a way, but now that I'm using it for like this situation, this is kind of nice. Look at that. Like you could totally just reach in. I do worry though, like I mean I obviously pre-installed the CPU cooler on mine, and I wonder if it'll be an issue for other people with other cases though, but I don't know. I guess we'll find out once I put the files out. But so I also use, I mean, I have the Thermalright, I think Phantom Spirit in the streaming PC, and originally I was going to put that into here to showcase, but I mean this cooler here is pretty funny because I can actually move the fan up and down to kind of show you like what the clearances are. So right now, let's see, I have it set up. Let me change the camera really quick. I have it set up with the fan kind of tall. And you can see, actually it's kind of hard to see, but the clips are kind of like protruding a little bit. But again, I think it still just showcases, because I think that it can go lower. But again, like you can keep it a little higher too. But it shows that you can get like pretty beefy coolers in here. So that was definitely a goal for this PC, was that I didn't want to hinder people with like a small cooler like in my other small form factor PCs, and I hope that meets that goal. But let's see, air cooling. Miss in New York, you said, is that an old Gigabyte DS3775 Mobo? No, you're gonna laugh. So this is actually Foxconn before they stopped making their own motherboard. I think they probably still make their own motherboard, but maybe in China or maybe for like servers. But back then they actually made like their own like branded motherboards, even though they're like the ODM for a lot of other people. Yeah, so it's a Foxconn, and it uses like a AMD. I don't know if it's 7. No, it's not 754. What was the other socket besides 939? But whatever that is, it's like the lower version of the 939. So I think maybe it was a 754. But yeah, it's like it's funny. It's like one of the early like 4-core AMDs. Made by Foxconn. The chipset, I don't even recognize like the number. It's like A760. I don't even remember that. But I know I built this PC for like my brother or something. So maybe back then I had more knowledge about it, but like looking back at it now, like I have no idea like what drove me to like buy that. But anyway, so right now I'm just kind of like slightly eyeballing where this motherboard bracket needs to be. And I think, you know what, I did have a spacer for the other side. I think I'll have to make another spacer here, or maybe I did, and maybe I just lost it. I don't know, but I'll look into my CAD. But I think I need a spacer for this side so that there's no eyeballing. But even with the eyeballing, I have some tolerances that don't really make it perfect anyways, so it is what it is. But you can see here that like my motherboard is a little smaller, and so like I am not utilizing like these 2 extra mounts, but it is what it is. I don't have a motherboard big enough to really showcase that. All right, so now, let me turn it this way if you guys can see. So again, full-size air cooler. We've got my micro ATX in there, and right now I'm trying to debate if I want to put in the power supply first before putting in the video card. Maybe I'll put in, I think I need to put in the power supply first. Let's do that. And you're gonna laugh. Again, the power supply that I have that's ATX is currently in the streaming PC right now, and that one is like it's like 200 mil. So I did say that this is ATX compatible for power supplies, but you are limited to 140 mil power supplies if you have a long video card. Oh, sorry. I did the zoom idea. Okay. So that is one little limiting factor, is that yes, it is ATX, but I think for the most part though, like most people's power supplies are 140 to 150. I think 150 will also fit. And again, this is like non-modular. So having a modular one will definitely help you out more. But I mean, I don't have an extra ATX power supply. I have extra SFX power supplies, but not ATX. And to that point too, again, because this is just a normal ATX hole mount pattern, you could use SFX in this case if you wanted more airflow or you wanted more clearance for like your video card. And to that point, I think they now make SFX power supplies at like 1,000 watts, and so it'll be neat to see like people with the RTX 5090 on it, and then also powering that with a 600 with like a 1,000 watt PSU. All right, so what are we doing here? I'm trying to install the power supply. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so I need 3 screws. Okay, so I don't know what's up with my CAD. I think maybe I need to, but I'm missing like some hole mounts, but they're not like super crucial. So if you see here, I've designed this hole mount pattern so that it can be interchangeable. You can like flip the power supply, but I think I may have accidentally forgot to cut out the extra hole over here. But again, it's not like super like crucial, but it is just kind of like a little mishap. This whole thing is just all mishaps, but it's fun mishaps. Hold on, I don't want to use that screwdriver. That's too big. And actually, maybe I'll flip this around or keep it. I know right now this cable is sticking out like right from the outside, but maybe I'll flip it around. I'm not sure yet. Where is that mounting hole? But for the people watching though, I mean, like, is it do you all use full-size stuff, or are there other small form factor levers here? And then Steve Burr says, do you have any CFD software when designing your builds? No, I don't. So Steve, my software does have CFD, but the way I look at it, like if I test my stuff on an open bench, and then I didn't put it in the case, and then I measure the temperature in it. And if it's higher, then I failed. If it's lower, then, or if it's lower or the same, then I'll be happy. But for the most part though, most of my cases have been either the same or lower than Open Bench. But again, that's kind of cheating because Open Bench obviously sometimes doesn't have extra fans, and I'll install fans in mine, so that is kind of cheating. But I think to the point though, I think in terms of temperature though, like I try not to make hot boxes. I have definitely made hot boxes. Like if you've seen I have one titled, I think it's called like the cutest 3D printed case, and that thing was a hot box. I actually had to make 2 videos on that because the hot boxing was so bad that I just couldn't live with it. Hold on, I don't know if this is like the power supply or my mounting holes, but am I missing a screw hole? Oh, it's right there. Yeah, so I think I forgot to cut in a hole over there. I mean, I do have my screwdriver nearby, but I'm not gonna do that. But I just wasn't pressing down hard enough on this third one. There it goes. But there is supposed to be a screw hole here, but I think, yeah, so when I upload the files, I'll definitely put that in. Or not, I don't know. I mean, you'll see it eventually. You'll see what I mean. Honestly, I think I could have gotten away with just like 2 screws. You'll see why in a bit. Actually, before I flip it over, I need to install the feet. Yeah, okay. So I just have these little feet things here. And then one other caveat is that you do need to use a right angle power cable. And I'll link that, but you'll see in a bit. The feet just go on here. You saw me install the heat inserts, but any of these right angle cables should work. So this is just an extension cable for it. I probably should have installed that before I did everything else, but the things I forget. But anyway, so it does snake through here. Now again, you don't need to use one with an extension. You could, because they do make cables that go straight into your wall, but they terminate like this. And so you can just use that and go directly to the motherboard, but for this case, I am putting an extension so that when I do unplug it, I don't have this like long cable kind of just snaking. And I also have enough space. I hope I put in enough space so that I can, what do you call it? Have it work with the feet. I think I screwed, hold on. I did screw this up, but I have another cable that is the different orientation than this. Because obviously these come in like different orientations. Where is that cable though? This is like a ultimate fail stream, but also not, because at least we have a case. But you know what? Let's see. No, I do need to get that other cable. Where is it? Give me 1 second. Where is that cable? Steve, you've never been in my garage at this house? Or maybe you did. But I think it was cleaner back then. If you've ever been to my house. Have you been to my house? I actually don't know. Anyways, alright, let's see. I hope I found the cable. Unless it's the same one. Let's see. I hope it's not the same one. Please don't be the same one. Yes, okay. So I'll specify that in the links, but obviously these right angle cables come in right-handed or left-handed, and it looks like we need to use whatever this one is. I'll link it in there. They also make ones that are like they are right angle, but they terminate like down, and that'll be helpful too. But for this one, it can't be that one. What does the bag say? I can't tell in the bag, but I'll definitely link it. But we know that this should work, so let's go ahead and put this in. Miss in York, yeah, probably 754. Yeah, I think it is 754. I'll have to like look at it, but But 754 was still it was still pin grid array, right? It wasn't like LGA, because I think this is definitely LGA still. No, sorry. This is pin grid array, like with the pins and not like the little socket thing. Okay, so that's in, and then now we have room for the feet. And we are way over time. And thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate that. And again, Steve, thank you so much for the donation. That's I know you're my buddy and all, but that still means a lot. No lie. Really appreciate that. Okay, so PC load letter, you wrote, my last build was a 12 liter small form factor just for portability to bring to my girlfriend's house. Nice. That's the best though, you know, after you do the D with your girlfriend and you just start playing some video games, that's like the best feeling right on there. Okay, so then, again, you don't need to use the extension like I am here, but it just basically slots in here and then it just gets screwed in. So it looks like it can be any screw really. I had some set out and I'll just use that. But I think you can use like countersunk screws. I'll be just using these little pan heads. What case did you use, PC load letter? That's pretty small, 12. Because I think the Ncase M1, the original, was like a 10 liter. So I mean, an extra 2 liters isn't that much. So that's still a pretty small case. Okay, just putting in the other feet, and I'll just put it upright, and then and I've been saying it, but we're almost done because again, I don't have the side panels yet, and we can then move on. Unless, did I like knock the feet to the ground or something? Where is the other foot? Did I lose a foot? What is happening here? Oh, it's right in front of me. My goodness, I'm like blind. Maybe I'm just tired. It's been too long. It was a cheap sandwich style case I got at AliExpress. Oh, nice, nice. You know, honestly, like when I started this channel, I thought like maybe I can make some of these designs and maybe print them out and then sell them. But like, it just doesn't seem worth it when you can go on AliExpress and like pay like sometimes only like $30 and have like a pretty sick PC case that's not gonna break like a 3D printed case will, you know. So I mean, I make these because they're just so fun to do, but in terms of actually like buying one, I don't know how I feel about that. It would have to be like super exceptional for me to feel like it's like worth it. All right, so this is how the power supply is going to situate inside the case. Again, I think it'll be a lot easier to do cable management when you have a modular power supply, but I should actually flip it back over so that I can install the cables and show you that it's possible. I mean, it's possible. You probably see my other PC cases, they have way less space than this, and so I think the idea that this wouldn't work is kind of far-fetched because there's a lot of space. Even with this non-modular cable, it's gonna work. Watch me like take back my words once I get the video card in. But I think it'll work. Was this okay? So hello from PT. What's PT? PT. I'm terrible with states. Can someone help me out with PT is? But Stream Gaming ET BIM says, was this case made with PLA? No, it was made with a very difficult filament to use. It's PETG with carbon fiber strands inside it. So strong, but difficult to print. Well, you know, honestly, it wasn't so hard until I got this really crappy batch from a manufacturer, and it became really difficult because, like look at this case. Like, this thing printed out like beautiful. Look at the sheen on this thing. So this is what I was normally used to whenever I printed out with PETG with carbon fiber. Like, it always came out like super nice. Look at that. Like, obviously I got some dust on there, but like, you can, like, if you were to come up to someone and tell them that it wasn't like 3D printed, they might believe you. But then now, like, maybe my printer, maybe I just broke something on my printer, or I haven't done proper maintenance on it, but even then, like, this is also PETG with carbon fiber. And then to your point, stream gaming, PETG has a really high like heat resistance. It will get a little soft at around like 90 degrees, but like if the air in your PC is 90 degrees, like you're dead. Like I don't know, yeah, you're dead. Anyway, so but yeah, PETG with carbon fiber, cool stuff. And oh, Portugal, whoa, Portugal, dude, thanks so much for joining. Because you're probably in the same, close to the same time frame as PC Load Letter. Like, you guys are like night owls. So thanks for joining. Real nice setup. Yep. Oh yeah, thanks, man. But Portugal, you know, I have my wife's family. They're really funky. Like they're Asian, but like my father-in-law was born in Africa. And then they have like tons of family in Portugal too, actually. So it's just funny, like hearing like an Asian dude like speaking Portuguese. It's actually really funny. Anyway, I'm being awful. I shouldn't say that, but yeah, 2 a.m. man, yeah, that's late. I mean, it's funny, you know, like, but Steve and I used to play Grand Theft Auto till like sometimes like 6 a.m. You know, and I think I was still in my 30s then, and but man, I don't know, it's like 2 a.m. I don't know, that's kind of late now. And let's see, PC Load Letter says, do you think the CF is necessary for stiffness, or do you think the standard PETG would be fine? So technically, whenever they have the additive for carbon fiber or even glass fiber, you're supposed to actually anneal it after the print. So you're supposed to like put it into an oven and have it kind of like remelt slightly so that, like, I guess the crystals or whatever like realign. Wait, why did my camera just move? I don't want that. Don't do that. Okay. And so technically it is actually more brittle. But what I find is that for my purposes for the PC cases, like I'm not like throwing rocks at it or something like that. So like, and I'm also like not loading it. It hasn't been an issue. So it is stiffer but more brittle. And to your point, no, I don't think it's necessary. I just like using it. Well, I did like using it whenever it like printed out well, but maybe my opinion of that will change after this, because again, I'm having like so many issues printing right now. But I think maybe my printer needs maintenance, or it could be the actual filament that I've been buying. Yeah. But again, I even with my issues, I think maybe it is the filament I bought. It was Aerion, maybe knows. I mean, I've seen people use it, but maybe it's that particular brand I don't like, because obviously if I use the official materials from like Cheaty, the dudes who make this thing, it prints out awesome. But yeah, it just sucks that I'm having so many issues with this one. But again, it could be the batch. All right, so I've got the power 12 volt, 24. All right, so let's put in the video card. So the video card I'm putting in, obviously it's not the biggest one. Look at this thing. So this is a HD 6870. It is like, how old is this thing? I want to say 2000 and, no, not 18, maybe even 16. I'm sure it'll say somewhere here. But anyways, this is an old card. You can still play Fortnite though. But yeah, unfortunately I don't have any other cards to put in here right now. But this is just to show you that you can get a fairly long card. How long is this card? Let's see. It's like 280, I think. I forget where you're supposed to measure a video card from, but from the faceplate all the way down to the edge of the cooler, it is 280. So it's not the longest card, but I mean, you'll see just how much space I have left over. Well, assuming I can even get it in and, what do you call it? Get the cables out of the way. Yeah, I'm still bummed. I don't have a power supply that's like modular for ATX. That's like small like this. But let me turn this around so you can see what I'm doing. So obviously right now the video card is not stabilized. It's just in its slot. But we do have this bracket here. And what I actually should have done is I should have screwed it in before I did this. But well, actually, this is a test. Like I've never actually installed this yet. So you're seeing this happen with me. But maybe I should take it out and then no, it'll be fine. Okay, so what I'll do first is install this here. And this is just to press it down. It's not going to stabilize it yet fully. But I mean, I've seen 3D printing cases that just kind of press it down just the way I'm doing it right now, and it'll work. But I think people would feel better if it is screwed in, and so let's go ahead and do that. And the way it screws in is it'll screw in from the bottom up, and so let's see. What was I planning on using for that? This thing? No, that can't be. Hold on, I need to dig in my huge assortment of... No, I can use one of these screws, I think. Anyways, it's like a normal 632 screw. And basically, it just screws from the bottom. And again, there are 4 slots. So if you do have like again, I did design it around a theoretical like RTX 4090. And so the 4090 uses up 3 slots, and obviously there's still tons of room down there, so I don't think that'll be an issue. And then cooling it, I mean, I don't know, like I think it'll be fine. Let me how am I gonna do this so that maybe I can flip it on the other side? Yeah, let's try that. But you can get a glimpse of like what's happening here. I should stabilize it though. It's kind of getting a little wonky. All right, so you don't have to do this. I think honestly, I think in my head, I thought to myself like, I'll install the bracket on the GPU before putting the GPU in, but maybe that also doesn't work. I don't know. But I mean, either way, like, it's not a huge thing. Right now, I'm just like trying to do this so that you can see. But basically, the video card will screw into that bracket I already screwed in. And that should help stabilize it. All right, and then, boom. So, I mean, essentially, like, this is kind of what I wanted to show today. As far as the cable management, obviously, like, that's going to be up to you. It's all doable. If you've ever seen my my Steam Machine replica, like, that was probably one of the hardest ones I've done because I use the stock cables. Normally, I make my own cables so that I don't have to, like, worry about lengths and management, but I did just want to show you that you can basically, you should have enough space underneath the video card to kind of like hide cables if you need to, kind of like this. But obviously if you have a longer card, you will have different like methods to doing this. But I mean, you can kind of get the gist of it. Like, you just stuff cables. You can probably like, there's definitely way more space like back here to do more stuffing. But that's kind of like the gist of it. Yeah, this makes me just love like custom cables even more. If you watched the video for this one, that one had custom cables that I made, and it just makes like life so much easier because the runs were like this small, and you just kind of just like snapped everything into place, and it worked out beautifully. This one will be kind of have like a little stuff to it, a little bit stuff it. But I mean that's pretty much the gist of it though. Let's see. So Stream Gaming says cost advantage on final product maybe. Let's see, cost advantage on final product. Are you talking about the, maybe I think you're talking about the PETG. But yeah, I in terms of cost, like PETG and then carbon fiber PETG, it's like 30%, I think maybe. Like normal rolls of carbon fiber or normal PETG is around $20 US, and then I normally see carbon fiber around like 26, and so I don't think it's that much more, and I think it's like worth it in my opinion. Oh, I didn't show you the. I mean, I don't think I even want to show you, but basically, I think I talked about the hard drive bracket that I have because this system's so old it didn't have NVMe, but essentially it's just a normal little L bracket. Obviously, I didn't like really care too much about like reinforcing it because it's really like an afterthought, and I can't get this screw into the screwdriver. And you'll laugh too. Like this is not even a solid state hard drive. It's like an actual spinning disk. I'm even surprised it still worked. I think this is from like an old Mac, but I was able to wipe it and install Windows just to thermal test this system before putting it in. But basically, when you take your hard drive, you can see it, right? Okay. And then you take one of the screws, because remember, I put in an extra T-nut in there so that we can install this hard drive bracket. Now, obviously for a spinning disk, this isn't ideal. However, just don't use a spinning disk. Like, it's 2025. Use solid state. Yeah, so basically that's just how it goes in. And obviously you would put in like the serial ATA cable in there. We'll snake it past here. And no one's really gonna use it, honestly. And also, like, this is irritating me doing the cable management. I can't believe this is how we used to live, of not having like modular cables. But yeah, so obviously that goes there. And then, actually I didn't mention it, but up top you do have to use, what do you call it? A 16mm power button. And as an example, I should have one here. Yeah, so like, I'll link them on Amazon, but they are like normal power switches, just like this. And that just goes in on top here, and then obviously there's like a lock ring that you install, and that's basically, obviously you have to wire it yourself. I'll link you a cable that's already come pre-wired, but I end up just wiring them all myself anyways. But I guess for the sake of simplicity, I will share with you a cable or a power switch that has a cable already on it. And then last but not least, I don't think I need to show you, but depending on how big your GPU is, I did leave enough room for the top panel to accommodate like a fan. And actually, you can put two 120 millimeter fans on here. And because of the spacing, I have a radiator that's a 240 mil that I can also install on here. So maybe later on I'll like maybe post a short on it, but because my little motherboard down there, which is micro ATX, is a little shorter than even this one. And if you put a water block on your GPU, you'll have way more space than you need to actually then put in a radiator up top. So I did design it for air cooling only. However, depending on how which slot your GPU is going to be situated in, it is still, you are still able to water cool inside this thing if you really want to. But I know that many of my viewers were saying, oh, I like air cooling, but I think to the point, I think someone made up top, I think it was PC Load Letter, like the air coolers nowadays are really awesome. Like I mentioned before, the Thermalright coolers, like the Peerless Assassin, they're all pretty sweet. I know that someone asked in my previous stream, will this work with a DH15? And I think as of right now it does not, but I was telling them that the same way that this particular front panel has been designed, like basically, if you can imagine, we just elevate this edge and it obviously goes all the way around. You could install it this way to have like a longer basically side panel. So that's a possibility there. I'm probably not going to design that in, but maybe I will. I don't know. I actually, the thing is, I don't know how tall a DH15 is, and so there's no point in me guessing. But so one of the things I want to try out before we're done, I know I took up lots of your time here. is this idea that instead of using screws onto the MakerBeam, like could we have it so that these just snap in? And so let me just do some more management over here. Okay, so it's hard to see, but maybe I'll change the zoom and move this to the side. But there are flanges 3D printed into these panels. And the idea is that when you press them in, they should hook into the MakerBeam extrusion itself. And so I've already kind of semi-tried this in the past, so I know it kind of works, but I know I'm still playing with the tolerances, but the idea is that without any screws, magnets, or glue, you could just take this and snap it in. Yeah, and just snap it in. So that, I mean, obviously it's not the most stable, but it's like stable enough that like, I think technically I could lift the case by just holding it. I won't do it, but I mean, you heard it snap in. It's a pretty decent snap. And so it is, again, like as of right now, the whole goal today was just to have it here. And so if you really wanted to, like this is a case array, you just don't have a side panel. And let's see, Stream Gaming says kind of cool to watch. Gotta go, see you next time. Yeah, thanks a lot for stopping by, Stream Gaming. But yeah, so like, again, the whole goal today was just to come up with the chassis in its working form. So I mean, you could start gaming on this right now and not have the side panels if you don't want to. But I am still working on getting this dialed in so that not only will the top snap in, but so will the side panels. I just know that the clearances aren't going to be the same because for this particular part, sorry, it's actually kind of hard to get off. Okay, it is just 2 parts. But the side panels are going to be 4 parts because, again, I'm trying to accommodate for the smaller printers. And so I'm not sure how that's going to react. And I can't tell how that's going to react until I get this little guy sorted out. So, yeah, so that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't think I need to show you installing the fan because, I mean, even if you look at it right now, like, let's see. You know, screw it. Let's just install one fan just to show you that it fits. But obviously, again, it's going to be situational because not every video card is going to be the same size. And so this is like kind of like take it with a grain of salt. And one thing I did do as well is that I put one of the screw holes. So this fan here has a screw hole on this side, but it also has a screw hole on the other panel so that in a way you're using the fan to kind of like strengthen the attachment or the actual pieces that go together. And I probably should use a black screw. Yeah, I'll use a black screw. It just looks a little nicer. Not that it matters because we're just doing it as an example. But maybe this screw won't work. Maybe it's too short. Yeah, I think I need to grab another screw, but let's just use this since it's really nearby. But I mean, we're almost at the end of this, so again, I appreciate everyone for staying this long. This is a pretty long stream, but I mean, at the same time too, like we're building something brand new, so it's somewhat expected, I think. But if you've been to my other streams, obviously, like I think PC Load Letter did mention it should just be called the yapping stream, and maybe from here on out, every stream will be called the yapping stream because that's essentially what it ends up being, just me yapping away. And I do apologize, but also thank you for being patient enough to stay along and hear me yap and also build this case. But I mean, based on what you're seeing, and I know the cables are kind of unruly, but in terms of the layout, like I'd love to hear your thoughts on that because obviously that's the most important thing because as far as cables, like that's going to be different for everyone. Like when I had the time, I'll show you how it's done with the custom cables. But for now, like this is kind of what it is. And then again, so we've got the 120mm fan on here and it should technically just snap in. And there it goes. And so there is some clearance, but it's only for this particular layout. Particular build because obviously it's only a 2-slot cooler. But if you have like a longer slot cooler, it's going to be different. And maybe someone might ask, but how much space do we have inside here? Again, I did design it for a theoretical RTX 4090, and so it's definitely over 300. And to be exact, we are looking at, if I can get this ruler situated, around, it's less than, so maybe at most 330, which is pretty long, I think. I don't know, that'd be kind of crazy, putting a 330. I know that, like, again, the RTX 4090 is only like 315, and so you're talking about an extra 15 millimeters of a larger video card, and it can work. Basically, that's kind of it today. So I really just wanted to have the chassis going. We'll work on the panels later on. And also, Thomas, since he just came in, what did I miss? He missed everything. But no, so like, so Tony, today I just wanted, Toma, I wanted to build the chassis itself. And so we've got that here now. And basically, this is kind of a working PC as is. So we've got micro ATX, we've got air cooling, we've got ATX power supply, and yeah, this is kind of it. I'm pretty stoked with how small it is still, because this is still like less than 20 liters, and so it's still considered a small form factor PC, and so I'm pretty happy about that. I'm not a big fan of big cases, and I think for what this can handle, I think it'll cover most of people's needs. I know that many people like ask for things like this, where it's like, can I print it on a small printer? And then the thing is, yes, you can. And can it fit an ATX? Yes, you can. Can it fit micro ATX? Yes, it can. Can it fit a large air cooler? Yes, it can. And so I think I frequent the SFPC subreddit a lot, and a lot of the newbies coming in are asking like, oh, I have like X system, like what PC case can work in it? And a lot of times it's literally like these components they're asking for, and there are just not many cases that can accommodate for that. And so I think it'd be kind of cool to kind of create one that you can make yourself, whatever color you want. And again, I'll provide the files for free. Maybe I'll do it tonight, but again, it won't have the side panels yet. Those are still being worked on. But essentially, this is like 80% there, and if you really wanted to, you could just start gaming on this right now. So that's kind of it. And again, I went really over time for this one, and I do appreciate everyone who stuck around. And again, thanks to Steve for donating that money. That's again, I know you're my buddy and all, but I still want to say I appreciate the support, and I do appreciate everyone also watching today, because I mean, this is kind of a niche thing, and I hope that people who came enjoyed it, and I hope they learned something, and I hope that they will also enjoy this case once I have the files out for free. So again, thank you for coming by. If you like stuff like this, I do post a lot of stuff like this, so make sure to subscribe. And in my description for this particular stream, I also have a link to my Patreon, and there's details in the webpage, but essentially you get sneak peeks into what's coming up next. Like, they saw this being designed and built, like, I want to say like a month ago, and so, I think people publicly have only seen it recently, but the people in the Patreon have seen it, and they also even voted on this particular case too. So depending on what tier you pay for, you can either vote, or you can even suggest future cases. So if that's something you're into, the Patreon is there for that. And I've taken up a lot of time, and I do appreciate it, but yeah, still kind of stoked on this. But I do see that it's kind of like coming apart slightly, so maybe it does need to be like welded. But I also just been manhandling the crap out of it, so don't move your PC case around all the time. It's like not the best idea, metal or not. But Toma, did you fix? Okay, that is full size everything. Yes, it is. And then oh yeah, you missed the white powder. Like we were doing lines on the stream. I know it's not legal, but we were doing it. You missed it. Did I fix the clogging? Yes and no. So basically, I don't have clogging anymore, but now I'm having issues with the actual print quality. That's why I don't have the side panels, because I actually couldn't get that far enough. I was able to print out the feet. I believe this top panel in the front was 3D printed with a new setup, but I'm not super happy with it, and but it's still gonna be ongoing. I have to do more calibration, and I might even do a stream where like maybe you all can give me suggestions on how to like actually fix the darn thing, because obviously I like set and forget, and for a while this printer was set and forget, but it no longer is. But anyways, I'm yapping again. It is the yapping stream. PC Load Letter says, thanks for everything. Have a great weekend. Yeah, you too. And again, thanks everyone for joining. And I'll see you all very soon. So I'll try to do more streams in the future. And I'll say goodbye when I'm actually ready to say goodbye, because I always forget how to do this. Okay, so I'm going to stop the stream. All right, so thanks everyone again, and goodbye. And